Hey, everybody, welcome to the Fireside Chat on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network by Run, Try, Bike. We have Mary Fleming with us today. Mary shared a part of her story in our How It All Started feature a couple of months ago, and she's also been a guest on Angel Hollowell's Melanin MVP, which is a show that is also part of the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. Mary is a school teacher who just finished up her school year and is excited about that. We were just talking in the back room. Excuse me. Mary had decided to start running in 2013 when a doctor suggested walking as a way to deal with her anxiety. And as many of us know, one step leads to the next step and many more. Then before you know it, we are discussing plans to accomplish marathon goals and much, much more, which is what happened with Mary. We'll talk to her about getting started with Black Girls Run Couch to 5K program all the way through to World Marathon Majors, which she is now a part of, and more. Before we bring Mary on the show, please remember to subscribe, rate, review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. If you use Spotify, you can now also leave a comment for our podcast. There are 8 shows to choose from with various stories and hosts, and I'm sure you'll find one or all of them to your liking. So without any more blabbering from me, let's bring Mary from the back room and get this show started. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. Thanks for bringing the energy already. We're not even a minute into this.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm excited.
We kick off our show with a really difficult question. It's our icebreaker, and it'll kind of determine whether I'm sad or happy about the rest of the conversation.
Okay.
Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Nay.
Yes!
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry.
I'm same here. Like it's just never happening. Not 0% chance. Like I will try just about anything, but
Yeah.
I'm never trying that. Just
Yeah.
can't.
I don't want the sweet with the pepperoni. It just doesn't, it's not appealing to me. Sweet pepperoni and cheese doesn't sound amazing. So I'll do without it.
You know, it's funny when people say, yes, I love pineapple on pizza and everything else. I go, do you like pineapple on pizza or does it have to be with ham or pepperoni or jalapenos? And they always say, oh, yeah, of course, ham and pepperoni and all these things. And I say to them, then you don't actually like pineapple on pizza. You like it as part of all of these things. You just won't eat pineapple on pizza by itself. And that always stumps them.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Well, at least we agree on that. So,
That's it. We're off on a good footing. So we shared your story on how it all started, and I had talked to you a little bit about this a few months ago. But I want to remind our audience and let them get a little backstory before we move into what has transpired over the last basically 12 years and what the future looks like for you. So during our conversation, you mentioned that in 2013 you got started with running, but mostly as walking because you had been told by a doctor that walking might help with your anxiety.
yes.
And I don't know that we ever got into that process of dealing with the anxiety before we just jumped into all of the running conversation. But
Yeah.
did walking actually help you with dealing with your anxiety at the time?
It absolutely did. It absolutely did. As a matter of fact, it still helps to this day for that reason. Um, there's something about the serotonin, and I don't know all of the correct words, but the serotonin and what it does to your body and the rush you get from running and just the ability to get lost in what you do that I have found has been very therapeutic for me whenever I feel a little bit of anxiety coming on. So I would say that it definitely did take a space for me to help me with balancing out the anxiety and the nerves that I had when I first got started.
Yeah, and I appreciate the word therapeutic. I know a lot of people often say, running is my therapy. Having been to therapy and being a runner, they are not one and the same.
No, they are
um,
not. No, they are not.
I have a question for you though. So I went running this afternoon
Okay.
and it was a 45-minute run. And I was like, I'm going to, part of my day, so on and so forth. But I could feel the anxiety building up because I was like, oh, I've got to make sure I'm prepared for this conversation with Mary and I've got to get this done and that done and all these other things done. Has that happened to you? And if so, how do you treat the run in the moment?
When I get nervous or whenever the anxiety is coming up, breathing, deep breaths is something that I've learned. I see that when I feel like I'm fixated on a time, like whenever I feel like, I'll give you a good idea. When I was, a good example would be when I was in Tokyo and we had this idea that I was going to PR and this race was going to go amazing. And somewhere along mile 16, 17, it just fell apart. and my anxiety started to kick in, and I had to, take some deep breaths, and then I had to rewire my thinking for a moment. And I also called my coach, and I was just like, "Hey, I'm not making it right now. Like, I'm not making the time that we went for." And he said, "We're just finishing at this point. Switch your mindset. Understand it's about the finish. This is not the big race for you anyway. Calm down. It's going to be okay." And I ended up kind of settling down, and I was okay. So sometimes it does happen. And I do see that when I have a goal and maybe the goal is not about to make, and then I have to just change my thinking. And then it seems to work out once everything is said and done, one way or the other.
You just mentioned having a coach and being able to call that person during the race, and it made me wonder, like, how important of a relationship is it for you that you're able to pick up the phone and call them and have that conversation as opposed to somebody who just puts a training plan in, run 4 miles today, run 8 miles tomorrow kind of thing?
That's the beauty of having a coach like the one I have. We talk I feel like we talk every other run that I have. And that's training runs or whatever, because he's asking, how do you feel? How did it feel out there? Any concerns, any adjustments we need to make? So by the time I make it to the race day, it's almost like clockwork that at some point in time, he's going to check in with me via text, and I'm going to pick up the phone, and either I'm going to say, "It's going well," or like Tokyo, we're struggling a little bit, or "How do you think I should do these last 6 miles?" or whatever. I love the fact that he is extremely open to talk to me whenever I need to talk to him, even if it's 11 o'clock at night. I called at 11 o'clock, and I'm just like, "Hey, this run didn't go well. I know I'm scheduled for 16 tomorrow. We might need to rethink this." And we reevaluated our plan and we adjusted. So it's really good to have a coach that is not a cookie cutter coach, but one who understands your strengths, your weaknesses, and he also understands how to rebuild you if you're falling apart at some point in time. I love the fact that Philip and Sturvin both do that for me.
Yeah, and I think communication that you just pointed out is super important, right? The ability to pick up the phone and have that conversation with them,
Yes.
as opposed to purely text or purely email, because a lot of nuance gets lost in
Hmm.
digital technology. Whereas if you're talking to either of your coaches, they'll hear your voice. They'll know if there's anxiety or if there's
Yes.
excitement in your voice,
Yes.
right?
They know. It's gotten so good that because I have a strength training coach and I have a run coach. It's gotten to the point where my run coach can look at my stats because he's tracking me during the race, and he doesn't have to talk to me. He can look at my stats and know what's going on. So, if there's a change in pace, because he will fuss. So we have those moments where he's like, "Hey, you are moving too fast. You've come out of the gate way too fast." And he'll look, and then he'll start to see if maybe like mile 9 and 10 is starting to slow down. He already knows that something is shifting. And so he's either going to pause and wait and see if I correct it, or he's going to pick up that phone and he's going to call or text, or he's just going to wait on me to say something to him. And I appreciate him understanding the vibe, even when he's just looking at my stats and he doesn't have to say a word to me. It's
You
a
ever
pretty powerful relationship too, actually.
Which leads me to this question, because as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if she gets anxious in performing for her coach as opposed to performing for herself at sometimes, because we often talk about make sure you're doing things for yourself, make sure you're doing things for yourself. And
Hmm.
that's all fine and dandy on the surface. But
Hmm.
we are human beings and we want to make sure that the people that are helping us, we're showing up for and we're performing for them. We want them to be proud of us. And so do you ever fall into that scenario where you're like, okay, I know he's watching, I got to
Yes.
pick up the pay. Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I hate to keep going back to Tokyo, but Tokyo is that race because I didn't want to let him down. You
Yeah.
know, I didn't want to let him down. And I knew we had trained for like 14 weeks to PR that particular race. Like that was the plan. Every week we were matching the time. I mean, it just everything was in order, and then until it wasn't. And so, yeah, you go through the disappointment. And when you're out there, you're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not delivering it the way that I want to." And then that anxiety starts to creep in. And then they tell you, just finish. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then you're all right. Yeah,
It's like they release that, they take
they
the
do.
weight off of you, right?
Yes, yes. Because I think everybody wants to perform well for their coach. Like, you
Yes.
want your coach to
100%.
look at you and say, "Incredible job." And, even though I didn't get the PR, he was the first one on the phone afterwards to say, "I'm proud of you." And it means everything. It's pretty cool to have that relationship where even if you don't deliver in the way that you all plan to, they still congratulate you and they celebrate you because you did finish, which was the ultimate goal.
Yeah, as an ultra runner, I'm self coached, but I have patience and crew at these events. And I remember vividly in 2021, I was at Cocodona and it was the inaugural year. Nobody knew anything about the event, nobody knew how hard or easy it might have been. And we're
Mhm.
on Lane Mountain. And I got, Marriott, when I tell you I'm taking 2 steps and sitting down, taking 2 steps and sitting down, I'm not kidding. Like I just could not move. And I start playing in my head, like, what do I tell these people who traveled all these miles to
Mhm.
pace me and crew me that the day is done? Like the race is 250 miles, but it's done at mile 11, let's say, or whatever the number was, right? And so you have that pressure to want to perform. And
Mhm.
fortunately enough, I got through it. But I completely understand that scenario because when I did get to that aid station, they were like, "Don't worry about it. You got 4 more days to finish this race, right?" And it just allows you to breathe.
And by the way, that is incredible. Like I can't imagine. My idea of an ultra is 31 miles. Like it stops there. But those of you all who can push that type of distance, you are absolutely amazing for it.
Thank you. Well, I want to go back to distance because
Okay.
you said at mile 16 or 17 at Tokyo, you had this
Mhm.
conversation with your coach. Now, I want
Yes.
you to take that thinking and that thought about that particular conversation and go back to 2013 when the doctor says you should walk to help, ease your anxiety,
Mhm.
and you hook up with Black Girls Run Couch to 5K program. So
Yes.
you're not even running a mile, right, when
No.
you start up with this. And now
No.
here you are, 12 years later, and you're making a call to a coach at mile 17 of a world major
Yes.
marathon, right? Like,
Yes.
what's that
Yes.
feel like when you think about it? What is that like?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I said this before that it really reminds you that life truly is a marathon and not a sprint. It takes time. And when you have the ability to look back over 12 years and see where you came from, it's such a surreal moment. Never would I have ever believed that I would go from the woman that struggled to run 15 seconds because that was the interval starting off. We run 15 seconds and I couldn't make it to being at 45 years old able to run 26.2 miles. It has been for me an incredible journey, and finishing especially this sixth world major just meant everything in the world because to me it was putting an exclamation mark on just years of extreme workouts, heart, tears, sweat, sometimes being discouraged to encouraging others, all the things that you could imagine. It was just really a big moment for me to be able to look back and see what I could achieve. And getting this medal, just I have to show you
Show
getting
it.
this medal. This is the coveted 6-star world major medal. Getting this and putting this around my neck was a big moment for me. It was a big moment. Yeah, this was it. So this put a huge exclamation mark on everything that I've had to do.
Have you ever seen Jerry Maguire, the movie?
I have. I've seen it.
So when Rod Tidwell tells Roy Firestone, "You're not gonna make me cry, Roy. You're not gonna make me cry," in that interview, Mary, you're not gonna make me cry. You're not gonna make me cry, Mary. Like
Listen.
it's incredible. Like because I read the how it all started story
Mhm.
before this interview, and it is truly amazing to see the progress because in that conversation too, you mentioned to me a person again who's dealing with anxiety to go walk, and now you're joining a running program
Yes.
where the presumption is all these people can run, all these people can do this, all these people can do that. So my thought process is anxiety is creeping up
Yeah.
as you get ready to go to this Couch to 5K program, and you go to it, you bet on yourself, you take the risk.
Yes.
The quote is, when I got there, nobody looked like a runner to me.
No. No.
Like, did that help?
No.
Did that help
It
alleviate the
does.
anxiety?
It does. And it did because in my mind, runners are these very small people who are very fast. In my mind, Kipchoge is an average runner. Now I know better now. Um, but I had this idea of what athletes are supposed to look like, especially adult athletes. And when I got there, that's not what people look like. That wasn't what I saw when I got to my first race either. So, I mean, that was pretty much out of the door after the first time that I got out there with them. And I'm glad it was, because if I would have held on to that thought, I probably never would have shown up. But I'm glad I did show up, and I'm glad I understand differently now.
Yeah, and
And
let
I
that be
I
a
have to
lesson.
tell other people that too. When
Yes,
we invite people to run with us, I'm just like, "Listen," they're like, "Oh, you guys run too fast." I said, "Well, we started somewhere. Like, we
that's right.
started where you're starting from." I began as a walker. Eventually, I ran, but it took me some time and training to get there, and especially to get to the bigger distances, like the 13.1 and the 26.2. That's a process. Um, and you don't ever have to get there. If you just
That's
want to
right.
come and do 5Ks with us, we're going to celebrate the 5Ks like we do the 26 too. So, that part of it, I think, is really, cool to acknowledge, because some people really do have that thought process that runners look a certain way and they run a certain um a pace, and that's not really what it is.
Side note from the host, I would rather run 250 miles than a 5K any day. Like if
Really?
5Ks hurt, 5Ks hurt.
But they can't. I understand they can be hard, but there's no way. I can't wrap my mind around what you guys do. It's
I got to I got to take naps in the middle of the day. I got to eat all the food along the way.
But
Like
then you had to get back up and keep going. See, when I do that, I'm done, you know? I'm not getting back up and doing anything else. Like, I'm done with it. Yeah.
well, as you know, this is a live show, and we have some questions coming in from the audience over on Instagram.
Okay.
I hope I don't butcher names. So if I do, I apologize. Samaya.ins.
Okay.
Mary is so inspiring. Would love to know what's next in your journey of running and fitness with a smiley face.
Oh my goodness. So let me tell you what I've been doing. I actually I had a friend to give me a bike. She's like my big sister. And she was like, she had a stroke last year and she's still with us and she's doing well and we walk. But she's like, Mary, I know you were looking at trying to ride a bike. So I'm gonna give you my bike. So she gave me her bike and I have gone on 2 rides. And I officially started swimming lessons last Friday. So what I'm ultimately saying is, at this point, I guess it's called a duathlon,
Yes.
and I am ultimately going to try to do the triathlon with hopes of doing an Ironman 70.3. But we are going to take baby steps.
That's it.
I am starting with this biking. I went on my second ride this week, and my second ride was 20 miles. And so I'm going to keep on doing that and then continue with my swimming lessons. And so that seems to be kind of my next thing, is to kind of do what you guys do.
Not for nothing, but a 20-mile ride is nearly half of a 56-mile ride in a 70.3, right? Like you understand,
I
like
do. I do.
you'll get to that 56 miles in the blink of an eye, in all honesty.
Well, let me tell you something that happened to me. So I'm riding on Saturday and I haven't fully understood how to switch the gears on the bike. So embarrassing. I was going up a hill and I got halfway up and then I stopped. And so I'm on the bike trying to pedal and it doesn't go anywhere. So I end up having to get off the bike and walk the bike up the hill. And I was like, you know what? I got to figure this out, because this is not supposed to happen like this. Like, I've never seen someone walk up the hill with a bike. So, oh, it does happen.
Oh,
Okay.
it happens.
Okay. I'd never seen it. But I did decide at that point in time that I'm going to go and study biking a little bit more, because it's not just hopping on and riding. Like, you got to understand how
Yeah.
the gears work and how to do the hill work and how the seat works. I've learned the
Yes.
seat
All of it.
thing, all of the gear and all of that. So I am committing to actually learning the bike more while I learn how to swim, so that I can ultimately do the triathlon and
Well, that's
hopefully,
awesome.
yeah, those are the next steps. Those are my next goals.
As an um, addition to your conversation about people walking the bike, my first 70.3 was at Oceanside, which I think was 2011. And you have 3 mountain passes that you have to go through at Oceanside. And as you're coming up on the first one, the mountain looks, I mean, it might as well be Kilimanjaro. It just looks so high. And there's a competitor who I'm about to pass, and I can hear him mumble audibly enough. He says, "We have to go up that." And I was like, your other option is to turn around, but I mean, I don't know what to tell you. And we get to that point, and there are people. I think I'd managed to go about 5 or 6 miles an hour up this climb because it's
Okay.
so steep. And there are other people that are doing the ski slope thing, trying to keep momentum, and there are others that were off their bike walking it. So it does happen even in an event. So,
Okay.
um,
Okay. I
yeah,
feel better now.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Um, some more for the audience. Cami the Trinut, who is on the show, says to you, "Welcome to the dark side." she said, and she says, "Bingo!" And all the time, people walk their bikes.
Okay.
We have another comment from the real address, TheerealAdris. The majors are in some unique places. What is your favorite world major course?
Oh man. What's my favorite? Huh, that's kind of hard. Because each course was different for a different so in terms of crowd participation, like the feedback from the crowd, that's hard.
The host is a New Yorker, by the way.
Listen, New York almost took me out. The crowd was amazing at New York, but I like Chicago's crowd. I
But New
think
York's pizza is
Chicago's crowd.
better.
New York, okay, okay. But this is what I will say about New York. I enjoyed the crowd at New York. We were teachers when we went. We had teachers on the front of our shirts. We went as teachers. They picked 50 teachers. We went as teachers. We had teachers on the front of our shirts, and they hollered teacher the entire way. I loved it. But New York was my third marathon in 6 weeks during the
Ooh,
time, and I was spent. I
yeah.
mean, so we talk about calling coaches. I picked up the phone. I was at mile, I think, oh my goodness, I was like mile 23.
Oh,
And
wow.
I told my coach, it's a wrap. Like I'm walking at this point. Because at the time I knew 3 marathons in 6 weeks was big, but I didn't know until I had signed up for all of them that New York was a monster. Like New York
Yeah.
is one of the hardest marathons to do in the majors. And so when I got there, I just was like, this is tough. So because of that, a lot of New York is a blur. It's a blur because it was so hard. But I mean, no questions about finishing, but it just was hard. The burls are hard. The hills and stuff are hard. But Chicago's crowd is like hands down amazing. But my best experience was Boston. Boston was an incredible race. The fanfare with Boston, just the notoriety behind Boston. Um, we have a group called Black Unicorns at Boston where they celebrate you 2 days before the event. And of course, because just it's so hard to get in Boston, it just was an incredible feeling. So if I had to pick a race, I'm going to go with Boston, just because it was just a memorable experience for me.
Tell me more about Black Unicorns. I don't think I've ever heard of this group.
Yeah, so Black Unicorns is an organization that they put together like a celebration for Black athletes when you come to Boston.
Okay.
And so when you get there on like the Saturday before, they hold I don't want to call it a ceremony, but they have like a celebration of everybody who will be running. And they do like massages. They have a big program where they bring in some of the big runners, some of the elite runners. They give everybody the opportunity to interact with one another. And you just make strong connections within the run community in terms of Black athletes. And so I think the year that I went in 22, there were maybe 100 of us there. And we've built some relationships in which a lot of us stay in touch still to this day. Miss Adrienne Benton is a big player in that. And she just gave me a big congratulations. And I got what do you call it? Like a shawl or whatever from the Black Unicorns and a medal. And it was just a congratulatory thing. So I love the Black Unicorns. That organization is just incredible.
That's incredible. And I want to talk about community a little bit because when I started this company, as a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx, like the idea of running or swimming or cycling, might as well have been written in Chinese, right? It just wasn't a thing
Yes.
that was talked about or that we did. And even when I started this in the sports, but when I started this company specifically as well, even my family members were like, we don't do that stuff. And I was like, who's this we? Like, I'm doing it. I don't understand. As a matter of fact, I'm not only doing it, I'm starting a business about it. And a big inspiration for me and motivation to keep this business going is so that if there's a Puerto Rican kid in the Bronx like I was, that he or she has somebody to look up to because
Yes.
maybe they can't play baseball or whatever the major sport is, but they can go run or they can go swim and they can go cycle and participate in triathlon. How important was it for you back in 2013 that the 5K program was Black Girls Do Run versus finding something on Google, let's say, and being a part of a community that could help you through this process of dealing with anxiety on your way to running a mile, to a 5K, to a marathon?
Yeah, representation matters all the time. Representation matters. And seeing people who look like you in a space that you don't know very much about is always going to be an encouragement for you. To get out there and see not only women, but Black women doing something that you don't see. See, we don't see a lot of Black women running. When I think back to like the community and the Black community, we understand sports and athletic activities and being involved when you're younger. When you're in school, we understand it. You know, you're going to play those sports, you're going to do the things outside, you're going to be highly active. But something happens once you move away from maybe the high school years and you go into college. Those exceptional athletes will continue being active, but for a lot of the rest of us, we get involved in life and being active does it's not a priority anymore. And I think a lot of times that's the reason why we see some of the health ailments that we see in our communities is because we're not as active as we probably should be. So for me to be able to not only see Black women, but Black women who are a little older, Black women who are mothers, Black women who are working, coming together and supporting one another and out here doing the same things, it was extremely encouraging for me. It was very encouraging.
I remember when I started this business, and I cannot remember the woman's name, but she said representation matters, Jason.
Yes.
And over the course of the 5 years that we've been running this business, like when I first heard those two words, I was like, yes, it does. And today it's like, yes, it does. Like there's more emphasis for it from me. And
Yes.
it's a lot of it is because I've gotten to talk to folks like yourself and Alicia Lay and Angela Hollowell and Yvonne Spencer, and the list goes on and on and on. As a matter of fact, Alicia Lay said something to me that I thought was really important too, which was I had asked her about community representation matters, and she said to me, Jason, it's about also taking up space. Like we belong in the outdoors, we belong on a bike, we belong in the pool, like we belong in those places. And if we have to take up space our way, then that's what we have to do. And those words have not left my ears in probably 3 or 4 months at this point. When you hear Black women or even Black men talking about taking up space in these sports, what does that mean to you? Is that showcasing, hey, look, I'm Mary, I'm a 6 time world major athlete, finisher, and this is the space I'm taking up so that I could show other people that they can take up space too in these sports?
You know what? Yes, it does mean that. But it also means that we're working for it to be normal to see us in those spaces as well. So we don't have to always feel like we have to take up space. um, we walk in and there's already a space for us. I think about, and I'm going back here again, when we talk about marathoners, we're talking about less than 1% of the population does a marathon. But when you look at the number of African Americans that do it, you're talking about less than 1% again. And then when you're talking about Black women that do it, it gets even smaller. I have no idea what our percentage is. So again, you know, we're fighting to have a space. We're fighting to not feel like we have to fight for a space. Um, I will be excited in the day when I can walk into a race and there are more than just specks of us on the starting line. I will be excited when you have more and more of us who want to get involved in this journey, you know, to where I'm not a unicorn. I'm not a
Yeah.
unicorn because I'm just one of you, that there are a good number of us who are all aspiring to do this. But right now, that's the space that we're in, and we're occupying space. We're forcing people to notice of we've been there in some capacity. We may not have always been at a race, but we've been there in some capacity. We're just happy now that people are seeing us. They're taking notice of us. And so, that's what it is for me.
Unless you've been in this situation, I don't think you understand how powerful it is to look and see a person who looks like you participating in
Yes.
these sports when
Yes.
you're typically by yourself. And the story I tell all the time is, in order for me to have seen Puerto Ricans in triathlon, I actually had to go race 70.3 Puerto Rico in San Juan, because
Yeah.
to my knowledge, I was the only one there the
Yeah.
majority of the time, right? And so when I went to Puerto Rico and I raced in Puerto Rico, and I saw people that looked like my sister and my mother and my father and my aunts and my uncles, it was empowering, it was uplifting, and it was like,
Yes.
yeah, we got this. Like, we're here, right?
Yes.
It was super empowering. And I hope when people listen to this episode, they don't just dismiss what you and I are saying about this because they never experienced it, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
go like go to an event and look around and count how many black athletes there are, or to see if you can find Hispanic athletes, and then understand that, like, make up a number, out of 300 people running this race, like 7 or 8 of them might be black, or 7 or 8 of them might be Hispanic, right? And then you can understand what loneliness kind of feels like in that
Yes.
predicament.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so I hope that as we're pushing this, meaning Run Try Bike keeps pushing people like yourself out there and saying, Mary is an example. Go follow what Mary is doing, because she's done the 6 world majors. She's going to do a triathlon, starting with duathlon. By the way, putting it out there for you, so now you can't backtrack. She's doing her strength training. She's getting coached. She's coaching. Like, she's doing all of those things. Follow her and allow her to lead you by example, because I think that's an important part of what we do as people who are in this sports, is that we have to lead by example at this point too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I do the pacing, just giving back in some type of way. That's why I now coach. I coach athletes who are getting involved in the distances, and they want to try to figure it out. I give back to them, and so in hopes that they'll be encouraged to do what we've been doing. So yeah, that's what we're doing that and encouraging others.
Do you think that, as a teacher, leading and teaching others and coaching others in sports somewhat comes naturally to you because you have been teaching for so long, and so it's easier for you to do?
I think it is. I think it is. Understanding how people think and having gone through it, I mean, it makes it relevant to you because you know what people think when they're taking on the first distance for the first time. But then understanding how just being an encouragement to students also works for adults. So yes, I can take some of my practices from my classroom into my coaching, or just being out on the race course and just reaching over and saying to someone who may be struggling, hey, you got this. Or just staying there with them and walking with them if that's what they need in that moment, and encouraging them until they can get to their next position, wherever it may be. Just like I would a student who may be struggling on a concept and they just need a little bit of enforcement or encouragement to be able to get to where they're trying to go. So there's definitely some overlap. And I do feel like it does give me a little bit of a leg up in being able to work with people, because that's what I do every day anyway. Yeah.
And you're a mom, so you're already
And I
leading by
and I'm a
example.
mom to three amazing girls. Yes, absolutely.
Like, when do you find time to actually do all this other stuff when you're teaching and
Listen,
being a mom?
listen, I don't have a lot of time. I was telling you earlier, like I'm debating on whether or not to continue school because there's so many things going on. But I love it. I love it. It's just like, I've got my hands in several different pots. But I'm comfortable with it because I feel like I've always done that. I've always been involved in so many different things. So it's all good.
That's amazing. We're going to be running out of time here, but I want to make sure I ask you this question. We talked about it before we went live. My investigative journalism, I just scrolled through your Instagram and started looking at posts.
Okay.
And And you have a hashtag in your last post that I want to touch on, because you wrote, the hashtag is Black Girls Workout Too. And
Yes.
I my thought was, what is she trying to accomplish with this hashtag? Is she trying to let the world know that we're taking up space, as we talked
Yes.
about? Is
Mhm.
it also to let other Black women know that you can get yourself to the gym and take care of yourself and your health, and put yourself ahead of other things? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't possibly take care of others either. Like, what does that hashtag mean to you when you put it out there?
So I do Black girls run, and then I do strength training too, because they both go hand in hand. I think they're both good for us, especially with, as you get older, you start to have issues with your bones, and you're needing to build your muscles and working with your bones. I think it's important to encourage people to not only run, but to also encourage them to go in the gym and lift. I've heard people say before that I don't want to have all those muscles and start looking, manly or masculine. And you don't have to. Listen, I lift, I run, but I still look like I'm a mom. I'm not the perfect size, and that's okay. But I feel like I'm healthy, and I want to encourage other people to be healthy. I'm the poster child for not having a bunch of muscles, and hopefully nobody thinks I look extra masculine. But I'm in the gym and I'm working out every day. And I just want to encourage other people to do the same. But I also want to let other people know that we're in the gym as well as on the pavement. And that Black girls actually do work out. We work out, we strength train, we run, we swim, we bike, we do it all. And so that was the hashtag for that day, because that's what I was doing. And tomorrow my hashtag will be Black Girls Swim. So yeah.
You were throwing around that kettlebell in that video, so you were definitely in there with strength training.
In
Here's
my boot. In my
Yeah,
boot.
yes, that's right. Here's the thing about all of these different pieces and parts to endurance sports: swimming, cycling, running, strength training. Like, there is a sense of accomplishment when you finish a run, make up a number, five
Yes.
miles. There's a sense of accomplishment when you finish biking 20 miles. There's a sense of accomplishment when you finish swimming for 30 minutes. There is also a different feeling and a sense of accomplishment when you pick heavy stuff up and you put it down,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
it makes you feel like a badass. You're like, I just
Oh,
did that.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when I can squat, whatever I'm squatting, or I can leg press, and I noticed that I leg press more than he did. I mean, it's real cool. So yeah, there's a rush you get from the strength training as well. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
actually, I think I see more when I'm online. I see more people actually strength training, like women nowadays, than I do running, and that's interesting to me. We're figuring out we have a place in the gym, just like guys do, and I think that's real powerful.
I use this thought process a lot on long distance running, but it probably applies to 5Ks as well,
Hmm.
right? It's not always the fastest runner that wins the race. It's the strongest runner that can win the race, because they're able to hold their pace longer
Hmm.
because they've gone to the gym and done the strength training. Like, as an ultra runner, like, if I just ran constantly, that,
Hmm.
like, after 20, 30, 40,
Sure.
50 miles, like, my body's going to break down tremendously. And
Yes.
so getting into the gym is uber important. And the same would be said for a marathon or half marathon. Like, it'll help your running. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So you said you have a strength training coach as well.
I do. I do.
Do they work together? Does your strength coach and your running coach, like, do they work together? Like,
They yeah, they try. They try, but, each one of them feels like what they do is the most important.
of
So,
course.
sometimes I'm like, "Y'all, there's only 7 days in the week." But, yeah, they actually do work pretty well for me. And I have a season where I'm very heavy with one versus the other. So, I'm not running right now. I'm very heavy with Sturban, who's my strength trainer. Summertime, I'm very heavy in the gym. In the fall, when I get ready, maybe like, well, maybe not even the fall, but like August, when I'll start getting ready for my fall races, I'll go back in with Philip pretty heavy. So I definitely have spurts where I'm with one more than the other. And then, there are obviously going to be seasons where they have to coexist. But I'm almost always doing at least one or two gym days, even when I'm heavy in my running season. Yeah, it's important to have both of them. It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I just think you become an all around better athlete versus an
Yes.
all around better runner or cyclist or swimmer or whatever it might be. It just become a better athlete in general. Um,
You You do. And, I said, I'm in this boot. Prior to going to London, when I had to sit down for 5 weeks, part of the reason why I could go to London and still do pretty well was because I had been strength training and running. We literally had to rely on my reserve fitness to be able to finish London because I was sitting down. Um, the doctor was just like, you've got some issues with tendons in your foot, and I'm going to, release you to go and run, but understand you're going in a boot afterwards because you need a break. But he said that I think the fitness that you have is enough to be able to carry you the 26.2. And it was. And so I think a lot of that can be contributed to doing both of the different types of training because my body, it was able to handle it.
When they announced Sydney was going to be the 7th, were you
Mhm.
like, you got to be kidding me? Or you were like, let's go?
I'm going. I'm going. And originally, I was just like, I'm done after the 6th. But can you really be done? And then they're gonna add Africa, and I plan on going there
Oh,
too.
I
So
know that.
I'm
Do
not
you know
done on
where?
this journey. Africa.
Yeah. Do you know what city in Africa?
I think it's Cape. Was it Cape Town?
Okay, in South Africa.
Cape Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I think that big announcement is coming up. And so we're going to see actually, they're looking to get up to 9 majors, but
Okay.
I think we're going to see this extra one come up. So the goal is to do Sydney in 26 and then Africa in 27.
Okay. So the Abbott World Majors team calls Mary and says, we're adding a 9th one. Where's Mary suggesting they go?
Oh, we're going to go to, we could go, actually, let's just go to Hawaii. We'll go to Hawaii. Yeah, I don't even know if that makes sense, but
It
I've
doesn't have
never
to. It's your
been.
choice.
Yeah, we'll go to Hawaii. Yeah. So.
Us Los Angelinos are getting left out here in the cold.
Yeah, you know what? LA would be amazing though, but I don't know.
and I,
LA
and
could be
I
amazing.
and it has it already has a really big marathon here. And I don't know that that makes any difference to whether or not they would move it into that category, but it would be interesting because that would be the 4th in the U.S., right?
And I don't think they would give us a fourth one. I
Yeah,
don't think so. I think it's going to be, with it being world, I think they're
Mexico
wanting,
City,
yeah, somewhere,
Mexico.
anywhere else, but I don't think we'll get another
Yeah,
one in the US.
I could see Mexico City being a place for them to go, or somewhere in South America as well would be another option to kind of spread it out a little bit more towards the Western Hemisphere a little bit.
And that would help for those of us who are looking at doing the 7 continents too.
Oh yeah.
And that
Wait,
would
what?
help a lot. Yeah, so
What?
that's another potential goal. I'm not sure. Like we're gonna stick with the biking and the tri and the Ironman, but perhaps because by the time I get done with Sydney, I will have done 5. So I mean, there's only 2 more left.
What would be the other two? South America,
South America and then Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's
And some people actually go there already. I just, I've never really looked into it.
it would seem that it would blow my mind, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's like sunlight 24 hours a day,
It
or
is.
like that would
It
be
is.
weird.
Yes, it would be. Yes. But I'm not committing to that. I'm just saying if
All right,
if
I got you on the
it works.
triathlon. We're there.
Yeah, we're gonna go back there and yeah, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and Cami already shouted out. She's like, speaking of triathlon, come to Pumpkin Man, which is an event that takes place in Berwick, Maine, September 9th, I believe.
Okay.
And it's an Olympic distance triathlon they have on Saturday, and then they have
Okay.
a running festival on Sunday, up
Okay.
to a half marathon, I believe, up to a half marathon on Sunday. So you can become the Pumpkin Man and do both the triathlon on Saturday and the long run on Sunday. I think, and again, I think it's a half marathon on Sunday.
Okay. I can get the swimming down. So once I get the swimming down, I mean, I think the biking will come pretty easily, but the swimming is where I think the challenge will be.
Yeah. My best advice for people who are getting into swimming is allow yourself to embrace the water. In other words, don't fight it as you're swimming. Just get in the
Okay.
water and just swim. And eventually you'll get like running. Like when you first started running, right? You eventually got faster, you got stronger, you went longer. It's no different. Get in the pool as soon as you feel the water. Don't fight it. And before you know it, you're swimming longer and faster and stronger. So before I let you go, one is where can people follow you on your journey to your first duathlon, your first triathlon, and your first 70.3?
Okay, I am Marathon Mary 79 on Instagram as well as Threads. Those are the best places to find me. I do have a Facebook page. It is Michelle Mish, but it has a little bit of a different vibe. I put some run stuff on there, but that page is a little different. But you can certainly find me, Marathon Mary 79 on Instagram and Threads.
And we'll drop that in the show notes when the episode goes live. For those of you who are joining us late, the podcast will come out on June 3rd, Tuesday, June 3rd. So are you ready for our food questions? We call them rapid fire, but don't feel like you have to answer immediately.
Let's go.
All right. So you got pineapple on pizza, correct, which is a good start.
Okay.
Oreos. Are you an old school OG Oreo fan, a double stuff, a mega stuff, a thin, or a cakester fan?
All of them. Oreos is my favorite. Oreos is my favorite. That's my all of them. All of them.
Are any of the flavors blasphemy? When you look at the package, you're like, why would they even make this flavor?
I haven't found one yet. I like them all.
I like
them
it.
all.
Are you a twist and scrape? Are you a
Nope.
dunker? Aspirin style?
Just eat it. Just let's go. Let's just go. Yeah. I'm not opening it up. I'm not dumping it in water. No. I mean in milk. Nope. I'm just eating it. Yeah.
The same way I eat them like aspirin. The whole cookie goes in. Like I'm
Just
barely
goes in
even
your mouth.
chewing.
Yes. Yes. My favorite cookie, hands down. Absolutely.
I love it. It's so
I'm
good.
so ashamed.
And look, I've bought the off-brand flavor
I do
of
too.
Oreo, right? I don't know what they put in it, but the other off-brand don't taste the same. They're just not the same.
I still eat them. My daughter brought some off-brand ones in 2 days ago, and today she comes in. She says, "Mom, have you seen my Oreos?" I said, "Girl, those are gone. Those were gone the day you bought them. Sorry." Yeah, and they were from Whole Foods, so you know they weren't the same. But
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite places to get Oreos is at the airport because it comes in like a single box package.
Yes.
And like, oh my goodness,
You just
sitting in
eat
there.
them.
Yep. Gone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
don't care who's looking. Don't care where the crumbs are. I don't care.
Yeah. My nutritionist is frowning right now. You wouldn't believe Oreos. That is our big thing. That's our big thing. Yeah.
Mary's nutritionist, let her enjoy the Oreos.
Let me enjoy the Oreos. Yes.
Licorice. Are you a fan? And if so, red or black?
Do not eat it. I don't eat licorice. No.
What about Peeps? What are your thoughts on Peeps?
I like Peeps.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the little marshmallow gooey thing. Yeah, I eat them. I eat Peeps. Yes, Easter, we eat Peeps.
Have you ever heard of peep jousting?
No.
Yeah, so we were told, because I'm not a fan of Peeps, and we were told that's because I don't know about peep jousting. And I said, well, what is that? And they said, if you put toothpicks in the beaks and you put them in the microwave for like 10, 12 seconds, that they blow up, like they expand. And so the toothpicks are like swords. They're like fighting in the microwave. And somehow that's supposed to entertain me and then make me want to eat them, but it didn't.
Okay. I'll take someone's word for it. Okay.
Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it just earwax covered in sugar?
I like candy corn too. I eat candy corn. Yes, I do.
I have found another person who's keeping Brock's in business. Do you also eat the remember the orange circus peanuts? Do you eat those too?
I don't eat those, but I do remember those. Yeah, so like I don't eat those.
That's like the styrofoam Amazon puts in your box.
Yeah. No, I don't eat those. Nah.
Creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
What's your favorite?
I don't eat candy corn. I do not like it. There's nothing about it that entices me. Peeps can go. Licorice, red for sure, but you got to bite both ends off and use it as a straw with like a cherry Coke because that rush of flavor is fantastic. And I am a old school Oreo fan.
Yes.
And my favorite flavor is the gluten-free mint. Like that whole box If that box lasts 5 minutes in this house, I'd be
Yeah.
surprised. You know?
My youngest daughter eats the mint Oreos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the flap is open on the table, and every time you walk past it, you're just grabbing
You
2 or
grabbing
3 at a
it. Yep.
time.
Yep. You're grabbing it, putting the flap back. Yep. Yep. Yes.
Creamy or crunchy peanut butter or nut butter if you have allergies.
Creamy.
Do you eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
No.
No.
I mean, I
So
could eat it. I used to eat it when I was younger, but no, I can just eat the peanut butter by itself now.
straight
I
spoon?
have the little cups. I do the cups, and then
Oh, okay, yeah.
that's what I do before I run. I do the peanut butter cups.
I mean, good calories, get some fat in you. It's
Yep.
perfect. Can't
Yep.
argue with that. Red velvet cake. Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
I don't eat red velvet cake.
Good.
I don't eat it. So it's
Uh,
not one of my favorite flavors at all.
what is your favorite flavor of cake?
So I'm just I like white. I like white. Just white. I like chocolate. I like white, but red velvet, I never choose it. I'll even do the yellow, but yeah, never I don't ever pick red velvet.
It's hard to beat the grocery store white cake. Like that
Yeah,
slice is so good. It's hard to
it's
beat
good.
that.
Yeah. Yes.
Favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Nice. Is there a
Yes.
particular brand that you like more than others?
Oh gosh, I can't even think of the name of it. I mean, I do Yarnell's, but was it
Bluebell? Yeah,
Bluebell? Yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. And
Bluebell
then
is
I'll crumble Oreos. I'll crumble Oreos and my ice cream. Yes.
Nabisco. Get this lady a sponsorship right now.
Listen, it's terrible. It's
Right
terrible.
now.
But
I
yes.
We do a Thursday trivia for giveaways of Topo athletic shoes, and I asked people to create their own uh, running event. And I came up with the Oreo 100, where you
Okay.
start in Oceanside, California, and you finish in Redondo Beach, overlooking the Pacific Ocean. So the OREO. And my thought was just every aid station was just stacked with different flavors of Oreos, right?
Yes.
Man,
Sounds
I
good to me.
take my money. I would sign up for that in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Favorite candy bar?
I love Twix.
Yes. Left
Yes,
or
I love
right?
huh?
Left or right?
Right? I guess, right.
It's one of the oddest advertising campaigns I've ever seen. It's like it's the same one. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Chocolate chip cookie or oatmeal raisin cookie?
Chocolate chip.
Now, is it like the Chips Ahoy, the hard one, or do you need it fresh baked out of the oven?
I like the fresh baked, the warm chocolate
Yeah,
chip
so
cookies.
good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Last
homemade.
one. Last one for you. Speaking of hot and warm, so a tray of brownies has come out of the oven. It's cooled off just enough that you can now cut into it. Are you going to the corner? Are you going to the edge? Or are you going to the middle for the ooey gooey part?
I actually go to I actually go to the corner down here. I cut the corner. Yeah.
The corner is the best. You get that little crunchy part of it, plus you get the
Yes.
ooey gooey.
Yeah.
BB.
And then you put the chocolate chip ice cream on top, chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream on top of it, and it's even better. Yeah.
I put coffee ice cream on top of mine in a mug, and then so it becomes
Uh-huh.
like a mocha afterwards too. But
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
so good.
I'll have to try it. I'll have to try it.
Mary, thank you so much. You have been a wonderful guest. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
For those of you that have joined us for this fireside chat, thank you so much for your time. Time is one of the greatest gifts that we can give to anybody, and you gave yours to us today. So thank you so much. Make sure you join us next week on June 3rd at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, where we have 3 members from the class of 1980 Ironman. Kurt Madden, David McGillivray, and Bob Babbitt will be joining me for a roundtable to discuss what the hell they were thinking when they decided to do an Ironman in 1980 before it was known as an Ironman, and all the good stories. So I can't wait to hear that. Check us out on the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review, and if you're using Spotify, comment. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on Fireside Chat.